From the deep, dark hollers of southeastern Kentucky, where the moonshine is strong, the stories are strange, and your neighbor is probably your cousin. This is Appalachia, not so quiet. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of Appalachia Not So Quiet. I am your host, Hillbilly Phantom, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely, talented co-host,
Appalachian shape.
How are you doing today, sweetheart?
Good.
Doing good?
Mhm.
It's been a pretty good day. Nice lazy day. It was about too cold to do anything other than be lazy today.
Yeah, I've been cuddled up all day. I just can't get warm.
It's one of those days to
sweater.
just stay huddled under the blanket.
Yeah,
But it's supposed to get warmer, so that's a good thing.
we can only hope. I don't think at this point, like 80-degree weather is going to melt us off anytime soon.
It's pretty thick out there. We've been struggling with this snow and ice. So, welcome back, everybody. We hope you've been staying warm during this cold spell, during this Arctic weather. So, on our last episode, if you'll recall, we spoke about giants. And I don't know if we're just tapping into something out there in the ether or, like I said, it seems like these strange coincidences. Right after we talk about something on this show, it seems like something new kind of shows up regarding what we've talked about.
Like a news article.
Yeah, something just kind of all of a sudden pops up. So, just like with the giraffe possum. The last time we found out, right after talking about it, got that book, and it turns out I may have seen a Kentucky hyena. But anyway, on the last episode, we talked about giants, and like 2 days later, after we posted that episode, a New York Post article popped up on my Facebook that says historians are scratching their heads at a resurfaced Egyptian scroll. The resurfaced 3,300-year-old Egyptian document hints at biblical giants being real. So here we go again after discussing these, how they found these giant skeletons in some of these burial mounds around Kentucky. A few days later, in the news, they're talking about Egyptian scrolls that discuss these giants.
So they're going to have to eat crow now because they were saying, it's pituitary gland issues is why these.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's not practical, but it's not that common.
Yeah, they're talking about the Nephilim, the giants that supposedly roam the earth. That's a lot different than just humans that have reached a tall status of, 8 to 9 feet. So once again, as we always say, you can't poo-poo that away.
Right.
Now researchers are having to seriously look at the scroll that apparently depicts giants. So there you go. Breaking news. You heard it first on Appalachia Not So Quiet. Maybe we were ahead of the game on the giant news.
Yeah.
But tonight we are going to go from giants to something a little smaller. Have you?
A little bit smaller, way smaller.
Well, yeah, quite a bit smaller. Tell me, Shade, did you ever have a toy that didn't act quite right?
Several.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you have experienced strange things happening with your toys, like something else may have been manipulating them?
Possibly.
Or maybe there was something inside of them controlling them.
Enough that I wanted to throw them away, or my mom would hide them like way back in the closet so we couldn't hear them. I remember when I was little, like.
Well, tell us the stories. Come on.
It was like during the PJ Sparkles craze, and they started making like different.
I remember those commercials.
Yeah, there was like it was all the same doll, but they would make like have so many stars on it, or you could put tattoos in their hair.
Yeah.
Different stuff. So this one was like the mermaid one.
They had a mermaid one.
Yeah.
Was this because the Little Mermaid? Was this like a
I guess
close to that?
It was around that time.
Okay.
When you would squeeze it, like and her crown had like a battery pack in it, and she would sing like the little mermaids.
Okay.
Like,
So she would sing
it
too?
sounded creepy. It sounded creepy when it did it. And of course, I've used it and played with it in the shower, and I shouldn't have probably because it had a battery in
But
it.
it's a mermaid, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but like in the commercial, they were kind of showing it in the shower,
Oh,
and
yeah? Well,
so
there you go.
I did. So, we kind of just assumed that because it had gotten wet, the battery had gotten wet, that it was kind of triggering it. So we removed the battery.
Okay.
That didn't stop it.
Oh,
Yeah, that didn't stop it.
interesting.
Yeah. So eventually, my mom just like kind of hid it in the back of the closet, like up onto the top shelf under some other toys and stuff, till we couldn't hear it. And we're like, maybe once it dries out, it'll stop. But there was no power to it, so
Yeah, that is really weird
yeah.
because you get something electronic wet, it could malfunction
Right.
somehow, but if you remove the batteries, how could it still be doing that?
And I was very attached to that doll. It was probably one of my favorite out of the PJ Sparkle series.
Well, that is an important note that you say that it's probably your favorite
Yeah.
because your connection to it could have something to do with it. Did you have any other experiences?
We had like it was a little white dog. They called it Go Go, my my walking pup or something other. And it
Go
had a
Go, my walking
yeah,
pup.
it had like a
I think I
leash.
remember that.
You push the buttons on it, it would go forward and backwards.
Yeah.
We didn't play with it a lot because we didn't want to get it dirty because it was all pretty and white and stuff. So we kind of just set it on our dresser in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
With no batteries in it or batteries completely dead. It just seemed like one of its little legs would start moving like it was trying to walk.
Really?
Hmm.
Ooh, creepy.
And then one of my brothers had like one of the Fisher Price xylophones, like on the wheels. Like it looked like a little red wagon that was on,
Okay.
and like the
Yeah.
different colored little bars on it. And sometimes it would just be like you could hear it go ding 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 ding.
So you would hear like the little bells ting, but
Yeah,
nothing was hitting them.
yeah, no, it was hitting the bars.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about right
Yeah.
there. Now, like you said, in the case of the mermaid and the dog that walked,
Hmm.
they were electronic devices.
Right.
Now, you can kind of go both ways here. You know, it could be some kind of malfunction, or it could be something trying to manipulate it. And as we know, it seems like spirits beyond this world can sometimes manipulate electronic things, like the energy they're made of and the energy that powers these devices is somehow compatible, and they can manipulate them and cause them to do things. And in the case of, like you say, when you removed the batteries,
And
then
it
what other
continued.
explanation is there?
Well, especially the Little Mermaid. Like I said, it just sounded creepy. It's kind of like the little. Yeah, so it sounded like from Disney's Little Mermaid.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be very creepy to hear that just
Out of nowhere.
yeah,
So.
sitting in the bedroom and oh.
And then, of course, like, when a toy gets water in it, it kind of sounds demonic, anyways.
Oh
So,
yeah, it can yeah,
yeah.
the speaker gets wet and it gets that kind of gurgling
Yeah.
sound. Well, I don't remember ever having any strange moments with my toys. Like I don't remember any of them moving by themselves or anything of that nature.
Boys usually didn't have, like, back in the 80s, anyways, electronic type toys.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I mean, I may have had a few that required batteries because they had like flashing lights or
Mhm.
something like that. But yeah, I didn't have too many toys that had electronics in them when I was little. But now I've talked about my experiences with some of the electronics that I had, the radio that I had that would come on by itself, and the TV that would come on by itself and flip through channels and the volume would go on full blast.
Hmm.
Yeah, that I had those things happen.
But none of your toys.
But yeah, when I was little playing with GI Joes and Transformers and Ninja Turtles, I don't remember any of them.
No ball just randomly rolling across the floor or anything like that.
Not that I can ever recall. And I don't remember, I had a couple of cousins that were close to my age right there close by. We all grew up together running around playing with the same kind of toys.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any of them ever talking about like their toys acting weird or.
Maybe they just didn't want you to think they were crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah, that could be it. They might have been afraid of being put in the loony bin or something, but they never said anything to me about any kind of toys acting strange or funny.
Or did you have a toy that you like poured all your emotion in, like your favorite toy. Just it was your go-to.
Okay, I did have a pound puppy, and I'm pretty sure it's at my mom's house still somewhere. And my great aunt gave it to me.
Those are the types of things that like spirits and stuff are able to attach to. Is
Yeah,
your most favorite toy that you give everything to, the most attention to.
right. These toys that are with us all the time, and in our various moments of emotions, of anger or sadness or whatever,
Yeah.
if that toy's there with you, it might actually absorb some of that
Mhm.
emotion.
Yeah, like young children, they are just learning to kind of deal with their emotions anyways on how to balance things out. Like, should I be happy? Should I be sad? Like
Yeah,
what
exactly.
am they're just working it all out. And
Yeah, there's a lot of confused feelings when you're young. You don't know what to do with them. You don't know how to handle them.
temper
Sometimes,
tantrums and things like that
y-
happen.
yeah, sometimes it's a toy that's there with you that,
Hmm.
you hold on to when you're going through these things.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe it can leave some kind of imprint on these toys.
Mhm.
Maybe that attracts the spirit,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe
Right.
because that happens after you have passed on.
Feed on that energy from
Yeah,
you.
maybe your soul is still attached to that atom in some way because such a big part of you, all those emotions are attached to that item. This is something that can happen with toys of all kinds, but it seems to specifically happen a lot to dolls. Across cultures, dolls have always served more than just one purpose. In ancient Egypt, dolls were placed in tombs with the dead, and these same kind of dolls were played with by the children, the Egyptian children. And I think they called them paddle dolls because they were just like a kind of a flat piece of wood, kind of looked like a paddle or something.
Mhm.
And they would paint like a face or something on it. In parts of Europe, dolls were used in folk magic. They had these things that were called puppets. They were more like voodoo dolls. The classic way you think of a voodoo doll.
Mhm.
It was kind of an effigy of some person, and you would actually use something from that person, like hair
Or clothing,
or, yeah, a piece of
saliva.
clothing. Yeah, even their saliva and blood, you could put it in the doll when you made it. And whatever you did unto that doll was supposed to reflect in that person's life, just like the classic depiction of voodoo dolls.
Mhm.
They make the little doll of, that's supposed to represent whoever, and then they take the pen and jab it.
Right in their ass. It depends on how I'm
Well,
making the voodoo doll for. It
uh,
could be worse.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could. But supposedly, yeah, whatever you inflict on that
I
doll
don't want them to have pain in their
is
ass.
you just want to be a pain in their ass. But still, yeah, in some traditions, dolls symbolized protection. So they were actually created to watch out for people, to be protectors. And if you go back and look at some of these dolls that they found, like, I mean, they found dolls all the way back to, 2600 BC,
Mm.
Mesopotamia. Dolls have always been important, and not just as children's toys. But it seems like no matter what its purpose was, they always looked creepy.
They have,
They were creepy looking.
especially those ones that like you lay down and one eye rolls back, and the other one rolls forward, and you just
Yeah, well, that's more
saw
modern
it's all
dolls,
like
yeah.
cockeyed. And you're like, what in the world? What's wrong with this thing?
Now, certain psychologists say that dolls sit in the uncanny valley. Do you know what the uncanny valley is?
No.
The uncanny valley is the concept that describes the discomfort or eeriness people feel when they encounter robots or animations that look almost human, but not quite right. This phenomenon occurs when the likeness to humans increases to a point causing a drop in emotional response before it rises again as the likeness becomes more accurate. So you see something, looks kind of like a person, and the more person like it looks, the more uncomfortable it makes you feel
Definitely.
because that should not be a person. And psychology kind of suggests that humans are instinctively programmed to avoid anything that appears sick or dead, which may explain the aversion to near human figures. So maybe somewhere in our subconscious, we're seeing these dolls as almost human, but there's something off about them. So our ancient brain sees them as sick or dying,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
But in children, like, they see things that adults don't see.
Right. Well, I mean, this is kind of where you get the uncanny valley thing is more for those who see dolls as creepy, weird, strange. People who are freaked out by dolls. The fear of dolls is known as pediophobia.
Okay.
I think that's right.
You're killing it.
Oh, I'm sure I am. I'm sure I am. Pediophobia. Pediophobia. I don't know. But that is the fear of dolls. And there's a lot of people that have that. I kind of have that.
There's
It's
certain
not a full blown
ones that you can
phobia.
look at that'll just trigger you, though. There's a
Yeah.
certain way that their head's cocked, their eyes look, or you just know.
Yeah, like the clown doll thing in Poltergeist.
That's scary.
That scared the heck out of me. Not only is it a doll, but it's also a clown. And yes, you and anybody who knows me knows that I suffer from clarophobia, the fear of clowns. Don't laugh at me.
That's so funny.
It's not a debilitating fear,
Yeah,
but
it
they
is.
freak
Yes, it
me
is.
out. They freak me out a lot. So basically, where I was going was that dolls are close enough to human to kind of make our brains uneasy. They don't breathe or blink or react, but they resemble something that's alive, something that should be doing those things. So I think that might be the thing that freaks people out and the reason there's so many creepy doll stories.
Well, they're just trying to find something that looks human-like to manipulate, so they feel
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
they feel embodied again.
Right. Yeah. The other side of that is it's possibly spirits that are just using these dolls as kind of a medium to communicate somehow. But also in other cases, it seems like it's a pretty dark and negative spirit connected to these dolls.
Majority of the time it is, yeah. And the negative is usually like demonic, but they know that
Right.
they can manipulate children because they're just like they're fresh. They're not paying attention to good and evil. They're just being kids.
Yeah,
So-
they're innocents. They're easily
Mhm.
corrupted. So it would make sense for something negative, something demonic, might possibly attach to something like that in order to gain access to
Yeah.
children. Yeah.
Because they're easily manipulated at that age. So they just think it's imagination, I guess.
Yeah.
So
The whole imaginary friend type of thing, I guess.
Uh-huh.
You know, what if it's something evil trying to lure the child in?
like, I can't play with my little Sally doll right now because she's being bad.
Yeah. There's all kinds of
Mhm.
stories and stuff like that, and we're going to get to that. Many cultures believe objects can absorb emotional energy. Wedding rings can hold love, for
Mhm.
example. A weapon can hold anger and violence, and children's toys could hold laughter, fear, or even grief.
Or trauma, some type of trauma.
Or trauma. Yeah, can be some kind of trauma, but they can hold on to those emotions. Now, like I mentioned, there are many such stories, many such cases of haunted dolls. Now, whether these dolls are some kind of emotional energy that's been imprinted on this toy, or is it some kind of spirit
Right.
attached to the toy or following the toy?
Or could have been somebody that's, spell and on the toy to
Yeah,
be the
some
one
kind of
that
curse or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. And one of the most famous haunted dolls in modern history is, of course, Annabelle. You can't talk about creepy dolls
Yeah.
without talking about Annabelle. Now, Annabelle has been made famous with the movies. You know, you had the Conjuring movies, and then they have just Annabelle movies. I don't even know how many there are now.
all kinds.
There's several. But, you know, in those movies, she's like this porcelain doll with this dress on, got like red hair or something.
Yeah, she
and,
doesn't even
real
look
creepy
like-
face. Yeah, the original Annabelle doll was a Raggedy Ann doll.
That creeps me out
remember.
because when I was little, a Raggedy Ann and Andy that looked just like that.
Yeah, a lot of kids did.
Yeah, so that freaks me out.
So, yeah, it's weird that something negative seems to be around or inside this Raggedy Ann doll. But this doll was connected to paranormal claims back in the 1970s. Investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren said it moved on its own, left handwritten notes, and responded to unseen forces.
That's creepy.
Yeah, and a lot of people have reported strange occurrences around this doll. You know, people go and see it because it's sit in a museum for a really long time in Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum. But recently it's been making kind of a little tour.
Yeah, it was recently in Kentucky.
Yeah, not long ago it was in Louisville, Kentucky. And of course, that didn't go without its own controversy. The handler.
Yeah, just a weeks before.
Yeah, the guy that was kind of in charge of the doll while it was out on this tour back in July of last year, July 13th, Dan Rivera died from natural causes related to cardiac issues. You know, that's officially what happened. That's what he died from.
47 years old.
Yeah. But he was with this doll, Annabelle, that strange things were known to happen around.
I'm still like a little sus about that.
Sus how?
The doll didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, they could trigger a heart attack.
Well,
They can mess with your, the rhythm of your heart and things like that. So
Right. Well, there's all kinds of strange things that have happened around her. There's been other people that have had sudden cardiac issues. Several stories of people losing consciousness, just fainting while staring at this doll. Are these things, just coincidences that they're having these episodes at the same time they're near this supposedly haunted doll? Or is it something to do with the doll? Something cursed about it or some kind of negative entity connected to it, and it's affecting the people that get near it. Of course, skeptics argue the story grew over time, exaggerated by books, movies, and media. But, that's folklore. That's what happens. The story spreads, and little pieces get left out or new pieces get put in. Sometimes you're not getting the whole story, but it all started with some kind of truth in it. Annabelle's name alone can make people uneasy, and she's just probably one of the more famous ones. But we have some doll obsessions right here in Kentucky too.
yeah, several.
Out towards Moorhead, is it? Elliotville?
Yeah, Elliotville, Kentucky.
Elliotville, Kentucky. You can find the Home of the Wayward Baby Dolls. That's what it's called. Home of the Wayward Baby Dolls.
So this is in Rowan County, Kentucky, and just so happens this falls into the Appalachian Triangle.
Of course it does.
So this is like an unusual roadside attraction. It's a private collection of abandoned, broken, and neglected dolls and mannequins. And they're displayed like all over the property of a local couple. Visitors have reported eerie scenes of dolls perched on trees, fences, and in the woods, and giving it like a really creepy horror film feel.
Yeah, if you have that phobia, you might not want to go to this place.
And so this gentleman, his grandmother owned the home, and he took residence there. I guess he inherited or whatever. Worked for the federal government, he said, years ago.
Yeah.
And he didn't really want to go into details about specifically what he did.
Yeah, he said he had a secret government job based in Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. And during this time of this job, he collected like mannequins and old CPR dolls and brought them back to his office and kept them.
And not just those, there were toy dolls as well. All kinds of dolls.
He would go to like the hospitals and schools, things like that, institutions, and collect these dolls.
Yeah, and he had literally thousands and thousands of these dolls stacked up in his office.
In some of the articles that I tried to read, they tried to play it off as, "Oh, he was just collecting them for disposal," because they were old and broken.
What?
Why couldn't somebody just at these places just dispose of them if they were broken? Just be like, "Okay, well, this is trash, throw it in the trash."
Yeah, I
But
mean,
no, they had him go gather them and store them in an office.
maybe separate it into recyclable, it's plastic,
Right.
like a plastic doll or whatever. But yeah, why did this guy go around collecting dolls?
Why the federal government? Why not
Yeah,
the state? Why didn't
yeah.
the state do it?
Why was it the federal government collecting dolls all over eastern Kentucky?
Yeah, specifically. I just found that weird.
Yeah, that makes you think there's something strange about these dolls right there. The
So
government was involved.
so, over the years, he had married and he retired from the federal government, and they're like, "We don't wanna keep these dolls anymore." Then he, I guess, had just gotten used to them, so he took them home with him and put them on display at his house.
Yeah, his wife actually said for some reason, when his job was over, the federal government didn't want to keep all these dolls. So he just brought them home.
And
It's just
and
bizarre.
they've just decorated their property and inside their home with them.
Yeah, they're
And
everywhere.
and then, they've just collected more and more over the years, and they found them out in the woods or on the street for people that's just like, "Hey, we're gonna dispose of this doll." They'll write a little letter, giving the story and background, and send it to them, and they put it on display and keep them at their house. There's, like, bukus of dolls everywhere.
Yeah.
And parts, just like a doll leg hanging here, a head there, some
Yeah,
hair,
yeah, yeah. Here
just
and there's just parts hanging.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they just started with this huge collection of dolls that he had gotten from his job
Mhm.
for whatever reason.
I can't. I'm like, why the heck did the government need
Yeah,
these
why were
dolls?
they collecting dolls? But
It
then,
makes
yeah,
no sense.
later on, yeah, it was donations and things of that nature. And yeah, like you said, just finding dolls laying on the side of the road and things of that nature.
People had found, a couple dolls during flooding and things like that and sent to them.
Yeah, after the massive floods, yeah, some dolls that were found that maybe didn't belong to anybody anymore. Those are the ones that might have something attached to them, for
Like I
real.
said, I just can't wrap my head around why the government was
Yeah,
sending someone
what?
out to collect these dolls. Like, is there more
And
to it than they're telling us? Of course.
I wonder if anybody's ever tried to file a Freedom of Information Act to find out about why we were collecting dolls in Eastern Kentucky in the 80s. That's around the time that Chucky came out. Maybe they
Mhm.
were worried
Right.
that maybe was true somehow.
So, but I think you can call these people up if you want to come and visit.
Yeah,
I
it
don't think you could
is.
just like randomly show up to their home, but
I think they
you
might
can.
have hours when
Mhm.
they're open, when they'll, accept visitors and
Yeah, you
stuff.
can
So,
reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I want to come
yeah,
visit." So,
you can look them up anywhere. We watched some of their videos on YouTube, I think. In fact, it was Kentucky Life, I believe, YouTube video where they interviewed the couple that runs this doll farm.
and then another place you might want to hit up if looking for a creepy doll is the International Paranormal Museum and Research Center in Somerset, Kentucky. So,
Really?
yeah, so they got some bizarre dolls there.
Oh, so it's a paranormal and research place. So I'm assuming that
Mhm.
these dolls are purported to be haunted.
Yeah.
Right down there in Somerset. That's not too far away.
No.
So yeah, we should probably try to see that. I bet that'd be cool.
And then we have the Vent Haven Museum in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, and they have like over 900 ventriloquist dummies and puppets.
Yeah, it's a ventriloquist museum.
And people swear that like their eyes are following you, and they hear soft tapping sounds in empty rooms, and figures slightly turning their heads between tours.
Ew, creepy. So this is the world's only museum dedicated to ventriloquism. So that's pretty impressive too. And this is in what, Fort Mitchell,
Fort Mitchell, Kentucky.
Kentucky. That's cool. So I mean, that's worth going to just because it's the world's only one.
Now, those creep me out more than just baby dolls.
Yeah. Well, see, the dummies, like ventriloquist dummies, they're made to move, to articulate, and stuff like that. So it's probably a lot easier to,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for a spirit or something to manipulate those. Well, there is also another very famous doll that a lot of people out there may have heard of, Robert the doll.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a big one. He's
Uh,
probably more famous than Annabelle.
you think so?
I think so. He was like
I
the
don't.
first. He was before Annabelle.
Well, yeah, he was definitely before, but Annabelle has became pretty huge with all these movies and
Yeah.
things. A lot of hype behind Annabelle. Robert doesn't get mentioned quite as much. But Robert is a doll. He's like 40 inches tall, and he was owned by a boy in Florida in the early 1900s. And he's actually on display now at a museum in a glass case. They're trying to preserve it as best they can because if you see the pictures of this doll, you can see it's very deteriorated. But it's wearing like a sailor's uniform that apparently the boy who owned it, it's a uniform that he used to wear. So that tells you how big this doll is.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
it's
child by child size.
and everybody wanted a child size best friend.
Right. Especially if you're the only child.
I bet you had a my size Barbie, didn't you?
I did not.
Oh, you
No, I
didn't?
didn't.
Oh,
By the time I was the age that they came out, I was too tall for my size.
oh,
They were
they
only
weren't
like
your
three.
size anymore.
No, I towered over them. It was kind of awkward.
Kind
Some
of
of
for
my
like,
cousins had some and one, and I played with it, but it was kind of awkward being taller. And I was like, "This ain't my size. The heck? Screw this thing."
this is
So,
only slightly larger Barbie.
no,
It's not fair. But Robert's original owner and the woman who inherited him after the original owner passed away talked of the doll changing positions and causing misfortune. In fact, this museum ended up with it because the woman who inherited Robert the doll couldn't stand it anymore.
yeah.
She said, "It's haunted. I can't deal with it. Take it." So,
And you have to ask permission to like take a picture or to speak to it, or it will cause you harm.
yeah, apparently people have had some brushes with death and all kinds of misfortune
Mm.
after not following the rules of saying hello to Robert, asking for permission to take his photograph, and then saying goodbye to Robert. Those are the three rules when you go visit him. And yeah, they have a wall behind the glass case that's got all these letters.
Apology letters.
Apology letters.
People's like, "I'm so sorry, I disrespected you."
Yeah, people wrote, they're like, "I'm so sorry. All this crazy stuff started happening to me after I left because I forgot to ask you for permission to take your photograph." It's pretty weird. It's pretty crazy.
We even had a president write him a letter. Was it George W. Bush? Wrote him a
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Yeah.
letter.
When the doll was officially 100 years old, because it was originally made by some German company. I forgot the name of the company, but they're also famous for supposedly creating the first, I guess, kind of mass produced teddy bear.
Yeah.
It's the same German company. But they made this large doll. It wasn't made to be a toy, it was made to be on display. It was more like a mannequin type of thing. It would sit in windows, but it ended up becoming a toy and a best friend to this little boy. And supposedly, even the little boy reported that this doll did things. Like there must have been something already attached to it because any kind of trouble that this boy would get into, he would always say, Robert did it.
Kind of like Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky did it.
It was like he was playing and something got broke and his mom would come in. Why did you do that? Why did you break that? I didn't do it. Robert did it. And as he got older, apparently Robert continued to do things, continued to move of his own accord, moving around the house. And then when he died, Robert was still in that house. The house got sold to some woman and she finds that doll there and she's like, oh, cool. So she just leaves it sitting in the window. But then it starts showing up in other places in the house and sometimes would move all by itself. And I just wouldn't be able to handle that. I think that it would be in the garbage. It would be burned. There's no way I would just sit in the house with a doll moving
I
around.
mean, you can attempt to bury it or burn it, but they find their way back.
They say that the proper way is to kind of give it a burial, kind of like a person. You dig like a 3-foot little grave or something, and you bury the doll.
But that don't always work.
It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't work.
We have a story from Appalachia that it didn't work. Story out of around Harlan County area, 1930s, in a coal camp. Says there was a little girl that died of a fever and was buried with her favorite doll, and the family later dug it up when the grave washed out after a storm, and then they cleaned the doll up and kept it. And then there's like footsteps walking at night, and the doll kept reappearing in the hallway, and its head slowly turned. People were sleeping, they'd wake up and see it, and its head would be turning. And then they ended up burying it back with the little girl. They're like, okay, well, we'll bury it back. And then it continued to reappear with the mud on it and everything like that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they kept like taking it back, and it would still appear back.
So they were trying to keep it buried with the girl, and it kept coming back.
But they did eventually burn it, and then it didn't. The house went quiet, like it didn't come back. So
after they finally burned it,
yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, because I've always heard that burning it can actually cause more problems,
Right.
because you're taking away the spirit's host or whatever.
Right. Yeah, burning them. I mean, it probably would like entice the demonic spirit to be more powerful. I think because you're harming it.
Maybe, possibly, but you're taking away whatever that spirit had been using as a vessel for communication or whatever. So you could just be angering it,
right,
and causing it to come back at you even harder. There's plenty of old sayings that claim spirits can follow personal objects. Like we said before, emotions can linger in these belongings. Children's toys can become spiritual anchors in times of tragedy.
Plushie. Can't leave out plushies and teddy bears too, not just dolls. A lot of kids have teddy bears too.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about at the beginning all types of toys. There's been strange things, stories that people have told of strange things happening with these toys. But dolls in particular seem to be like the big one.
Or anything with a human-like face.
Now, remember before on our 500 listener celebration, I believe it was?
Yeah.
We talked with our niece, Maddie, and she told us the story about her little boy and how he didn't want to play with any of his toys that had faces.
Yeah, it was just a few months after they moved into a rental house.
Yeah, they'd moved into a rental house. I don't think they knew anything about the history of that house either. So,
well, they didn't have much to say, but you could tell. I mean, it was rustic. It was really
it was an
pretty,
old house.
Yeah,
yeah.
But everything, it was kind of like things you wanted to keep in the home. It was, just gave it character. But a few months in from them living there, he wouldn't go to his room, and she couldn't figure out why. And she called me. She's like, "Has the boys been watching like scary stuff, or anything that would have scared Drake that would keep him from not wanting to play with his toys or anything?" I was like, "No, our son tries to be really careful and not watch that around the younger kids."
Yeah, he said, "Yeah, that stuff don't scare me.
Yeah,
Bubby don't scare me.
No, Bubby's not scaring me because he calls him brother.
Brother, yeah, brother don't scare me."
So she's like, "He won't go in his room." And he says that the faces are moving. So she had to remove all the toys out of his room that had a face.
That had like a human-like face.
Yeah.
He wouldn't play with it.
And she ended up, packing them all up. And then they finally moved back to Eastern Kentucky. And he's fine with them. He'll play with them.
Yeah.
So.
Just wonder, it must have been something in that house.
Yeah.
So that could be the case for, some of these doll hauntings. It could actually be the place they're in, not so much the doll. Now, something else that we have talked about on this very program, Octavia Hatcher in Pikeville, Kentucky, her tragic tale of dying from this, or thought that she had died from this strange disease that swept through the area. And then it turns out that she wasn't dead, but they had buried her already.
Alive.
She'd been buried alive. Something we did not mention in that episode. Today, a doll resembling Octavia is kept at the Heritage Center. Some visitors claim it carries a strange presence because it represents Octavia's grief, fear, and the terror of being buried alive. So people think that they feel something from this doll of Octavia Hatcher. We already said we need to go check out her grave.
Right.
There's this big statue of her, and supposedly at certain times it moves.
And it weeps. It even cries.
It weeps. But now there was this doll, this effigy, remember, like we were talking earlier, made of Octavia Hatcher, sitting at the Heritage Center. and apparently it has some kind of strange feeling to it. Now, it's easy to find all kinds of things about these haunted toys, haunted dolls. I ran across all kinds of YouTube videos that supposedly show certain things and just people telling stories about their experiences with possessed or haunted toys and dolls. I kept a few little quick ones here. I kind of summarized some of the stories. This one says, when I was a kid, my aunt kept an old porcelain doll on her mantle. One eye had a hairline crack. Nobody seemed to like this doll. It always felt like it was watching the room. One night I woke up around 3 in the morning, and I swear that doll wasn't facing the same direction anymore. It could have been in my imagination, but I never looked at it the same after that. It sure seemed like that doll moved. I've never had anything like that happen, but I've had items suddenly move location.
Yeah.
Things, but I've never had a toy like its head was turned one way one minute and then the other
I've
way
had
the
them
other
fall
minute.
over.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
but there's plausible things that it
Yeah,
could
there's
be,
plenty of
but
explanations for that. You just didn't have it sitting there properly or
Mhm.
whatever, and it fell over. It's kind of hard to attribute that to anything,
Right.
paranormal.
I've got one. This one comes from Tennessee.
Okay.
Says, after a child's funeral, a cousin took home the little boy's Jack in the Box toy. And that night, the music started playing by itself, and the lid popped open slowly, and the clown started toward the little boy's bed.
Oh, that's creepy.
And it's continued to
Oh,
do
clowns.
this every night at like 3 a.m. And then the little boy ended up like smashing it with a hammer to try and keep it from playing again, but it still played.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And it makes it creepier that it was a clown.
Jack in the Box.
And that story mentioned 3 in the morning. And yeah, the little story I read, it mentioned 3 in the morning. You know what 3 in the morning is?
Witching hour.
The witching hour.
Mm-hmm.
And they really do theorize that due to it, certain alignments and the moon's influence on the earth, blah, 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 things of that nature, certain energies are at their height at around that time in the morning.
I mean, didn't a Jack in the Box scare the hell out of you anyways, because you're not prepared anyway. So you don't know how many cranks it is till that sucker comes out and scares the piss out of you.
I hate it when they're delayed.
Yeah.
They don't just suddenly have a haunted doll just out of nowhere.
Right.
No, usually it's something old.
It's been generations passed down.
Right. And there's plenty of stories of people finding dolls in like thrift stores and things of that nature, and then taking them home, and all of a sudden,
right, you don't know what's
strange experiences.
There ain't no way I'm taking one home from a thrift store. No way.
Well, there's one such story that says a friend bought an old doll from a thrift shop, said that it just seemed unique.
I bet.
After bringing it home, she heard soft tapping late at night. The next morning, she found the doll sitting upright. When she knew she had laid it down, she got rid of the doll soon after. That's a smart person right there. That's what I would do.
So they say to take them out and bury them.
Right.
And don't mark it and then sprinkle salt on it so that they can't follow you back.
Yeah, back to the salt thing. We've talked about that. Why is salt? Why is it this protective substance? But yeah, they recommend salt for this as well, to trap or contain whatever spirit might be attached to that doll. Another story says we once found a doll hanging from a tree, tangled in fishing line. Its dress was torn and its face was dirt streaked. We joked that it was cursed, but none of us dared to touch it. A week later, it was gone. No tracks, no sign. Yeah.
Where'd it go?
Somebody probably just came along and took it or something, but why was it hanging from fishing line? Somebody trying to fish with it? Maybe it was a remnant of one of the floods. That's one of those things that there's nothing really paranormal or anything going on in that story. It's just creepy.
Yeah.
Because you see this dirty doll hanging from a tree.
But like I said, if they are just looking at you wrong, you can not guarantee that there's something up with that doll. If you get it eerie feeling, there's something up with that doll.
I've had experiences where, I mean, it's just that effect. You have those painted eyes that just seem to follow you. I've had that experience with dolls. I'll like walk by and it's looking at you as you're walking by it, and you can just watch its eyes follow you. Like I said, I know it's like an effect because of the type of paint, the way it's painted or whatever. It just gives it that effect. The eyes aren't really following you.
Yeah.
It just seems like they are.
But porcelain is believed to attract and hold spirits more than most materials, so maybe that's why porcelain
Really?
dolls are.
Porcelain? I wonder if somebody's ever compared the number of haunted porcelain dolls to other fabrics and
It's
things.
just, it's a denser material, so it's easier to record emotions and stuff like that. So,
Well, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Are you creeped out by dolls, Shade? Like all the time, or is it just like certain ones?
It's like I said, certain ones, the way that they look, the way that their eyes are, the way their head is tilted, a little smile on their face, you can just, like, you can read a human, like, that they're up to no good.
Oh,
You
okay.
can read it.
So you think you can kind of see it in their face, but in the case of Annabelle, it's just a regular old Raggedy Ann doll. Can't really see anything in that face, but obviously there's something going on with it.
Maybe something in the stuffing.
There's got to be something to do with the material because that's always been a big deal. Like we were talking about earlier with the puppets or the European type voodoo dolls, and I mean even classic voodoo dolls. They were claimed to need some part of the person they were supposed to represent. They would put a button from the person's favorite shirt or something of that nature.
Just it with Annabelle too. It's hard to say what caused it, to be possessed.
Yeah, what could it be?
Because this lady just inherited it, and she don't really know the backstory of why it is the way that it is.
Right. They took it to a medium, and that's where the Annabelle name came from because this medium claimed that there was like a little girl named Annabelle that was attached to it. So at first they're like, oh, well, it's this nice little girl that's attached to this. And,
I don't see children coming back and being evil.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's darker things started happening around the doll, and they're like, no, this ain't a little kid.
No.
And that's when the Warrens got involved. And as they documented things happening around this doll, they come to the conclusion, no, we think it's demonic.
And I mean, they can manipulate, maybe have sounded like that little girl's voice or anything. So,
Yeah. I mean, it could have tricked the medium. Either she wasn't seeing clearly, she was a fake medium, maybe, or maybe the demon was protecting itself.
This one seems to be pretty powerful as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of strange things that happen around it. Well, like I said, I've seen all kinds of kind of creepy looking dolls in my life, but I've never had any kind of negative or paranormal type experience around one. So I don't know if there's any truth to it or not, but it sure seems like there's something weird around some of these dolls.
Well, there's a reason, that the Amish won't allow faces to be on their children's dolls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another important factoid there. Yeah, the Amish don't let them put faces on the dolls. All their dolls are faceless. And I wonder if that has something to do with like
they say that,
stealing a person's soul or something.
If they don't have, human like faces, then they can't possess the doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing can try to possess or manipulate the doll if it's not
got a human like face on it.
Yeah, if it doesn't have a human face on it. Maybe Maddie's little boy witnessed that because he had these toys with faces. They were doing things. They were moving and they freaked him out. That's probably the closest thing I have to a toy haunting type of thing is we have a great nephew that has had some kind of experience with his toys. The bottom line is a lot of people find dolls kind of creepy. Like I said, I kind of place myself there. Certain dolls just look creepy. I don't have a problem with all dolls, but yeah, some of them are just, man, they freak you out.
And watch the ones that your kids are like overly emotionally attached to, because those are the ones you gotta really watch out for.
Yeah, ones they might be claiming that are talking to them or
being bad.
Or ones they're talking to, or things happen and they're blaming the toy.
Right. Like, no, Chucky did it.
Yeah. I mean, the kid might be lying, but then again,
just keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. So if creepy, spooky, possibly haunted dolls is your thing, then go check out some of these places right here close by in Kentucky. The Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, where you have the world's only museum dedicated to ventriloquism. And of course, the home for the wayward baby dolls.
In Elliotville, Kentucky.
Yeah, right there outside Moorhead. And of course, don't miss if Annabelle happens to make another stop through Kentucky.
I won't be going to that.
Yeah, I don't think I will either. But We also had some moments that were kind of questionable. I remember a few times when our littlest one would not be in his room and you would hear some of his toys going off. So, I mean, it could be malfunction or it could have been grandma and grandpa or somebody,
Right.
uh, trying to play with the great grandkid.
Because I know, like, my aunt, when her husband had passed away, she came and stayed with us, and she bought him this little car that made noises, and it was like sirens and things like
Oh, yeah, it
that.
was like a little police car. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was one of them.
and it would just randomly go off.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. You would just be sitting there, it'd be
Mhm.
dead quiet in the house, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden a siren start
So,
going off.
we kinda wondered if it was her husband that maybe was
Oh,
playing with
yeah.
him or something.
Yeah, that could have
So,
been her, yeah, her husband.
he really thought our kid was quite swell.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
they both loved him.
mm,
But, yeah, he had passed not long before that, so,
yeah.
yeah, that's a possibility too. A lot of times with these things, I think it probably is maybe some family member or, something like that, some kind of positive spirit maybe,
Yeah.
just trying to interact with the child. But there's obviously negative ones out there too, so you gotta watch out. If any of you out there have a haunted doll story or some kinda haunted toy story, why don't you drop it in the comments?
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Send it to us on Facebook, something. We'd like to hear your story, and we might talk about it on our next episode.
Or have you come on and talk about it.
Or, yeah, we might even be able to figure out a way to bring you on and let you tell the story. Maybe it's a toy that your kid is currently playing with that's doing some freaky things and freaking you out. Or maybe it's a story of when you were a kid and you had some kind of toy that freaked you out, or a doll that was a little too real. Drop us that story. Send it to us. We'd like to hear it. Just maybe don't send the haunted
No, we don't
thing.
want the
Yeah,
toy. No,
we
we
don't
don't
want
want the
that.
toy. We're good.
Thank you, everybody, for all the listens, all the love, all the support. We are getting very close to that next magic number 2000 listens, 2000 streams and downloads.
It means that our next episode we'll be doing a giveaway.
That's right.
Mhm.
We probably will be doing a giveaway on our next episode. We hit that magic number and we'll gather some comments and put the names in the wheel.
And then we'll hook you up with some free merch.
That's right. You could be the winner of some free merch. And speaking of leaving comments, there's a new way for you to do that because we have a special announcement. We are now on YouTube.
Yes, all of our episodes. on
All of
YouTube.
our episodes. And from now on, our episodes will be on the YouTube.
You can just go in the search engine and type at Not So Quiet.
Yeah. Or you can just Appalachian Not So Quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, you can find us on there. We will have the links, of course, up on our Facebook and things of that nature. I never have been a big YouTube user. I've put a few videos on there, and I mostly just use it as a repair manual when I'm having car issues. But now it is another home for Appalachia Not So Quiet. We hope you'll come back and join us again on whatever platform you prefer: Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and now, of course, YouTube.
Yep. And follow us for content on Facebook and TikTok and X.
That's right. Keep an eye out for more content on the social media sites. All the creepy Appalachian content you love right here on Appalachian Not So Quiet. I am your host, Hillbilly Phantom,
And I'm Appalachian Shade.
and we'll see you on the next one. Till then, watch out for them boogers.